Welcome. I am thrilled to be here. Today, this afternoon, we are going to talk about starting to feel, unstuck and get inspired. We are now in our third month and we have still snow in some parts. However, we're starting to feel a bit of that spring coming around. When it's winter is all about really retrieving and hibernating, being cozy, just like submerging inside. And it is really the time of hibernation. Think about some of the animals that do that. The bear comes to my mind right now. And rest and reprieve is very, very key. It's just part of our sort of body clock in a way. So it has been the time to sleep in. There's been a lot of more of, I'm hearing, there's been more dream state happening. And that's because of where we're shifting. We are shifting to a higher dimension as a collective. And that also is taking a lot of energy from us. However, in terms of getting out of feeling uninspired or feeling stuck, this is always that turnaround time where you want to and you don't know how, or you can't. It's kind of like that push and pull time, because it's not exactly yet spring, but you're itching for it. And we get these teasers such as, oh, wow, it's like 1 degrees outside today, or there might even be a plus. And then there's rain and the snow is melting and all of that wonderfulness. So spring really becomes a feeling of renewal in one way, and have the new year in March. And it makes sense, doesn't it, right? Yes, because that's when we start to birth our new ideas and we have new aspirations. And even in business, there seems to be a bigger energy pull to be doing more, to getting out and everything like that. And in terms of getting out, more people want to be out. So you don't want to be sitting at home so much. Maybe there's more invitations, there's more social time. And the light is getting brighter. So I even remember, I think it was yesterday, I was driving home from an in-house session with a client, and I was going, I don't know, somehow in my brain, I'm thinking it's like 4:30. I'm here in Canada, Eastern time, and it was like 5 minutes to 6. And I'm like, whoa, it's still light outside. Now, yes, of course, again, depending on the day, it's pretty gloomy here, but I know some of them, some provinces and some parts of, the world, there's sun. Yes. Hi, Becca. Yeah. New start, spring. Nice to have you on. And so we want to be outside more. And because, there seems to be more light, and we are more regrouping, we're reconnecting. And with that, we're just feeling that urge to refresh. And so today I want to talk a little bit about that, how it's a great time to still be working inside, because as much as maybe we were thinking about it in January, in February, we wanted to just snuggle with that book and that cup of tea or watch a movie rather than feel active and go do anything. So that's interesting how things actually are inspired with this whole spring cleaning, because that's the time of refreshing. So let's talk a little bit about how can we get started, and why don't I wait till the official spring date? Well, you can. I do know that for myself and many others, well, clients that I work with, people that I speak with, is once the weather gets warm, you don't want to be inside. You want to be hanging out. So you're doing what you need to be doing inside so that you'll be ready to hang out outside. Because come mid-spring, I think, you're going to want to be maybe gardening. There's going to be so many pop-up events that go on. There's the, like the flea markets. And, so again, it's part of like more excursions, more being out. And so take this time to start clearing out the cobwebs. And I have this wonderful, well, I was going to say session, but workshop that I'm putting together. And for a big reason in March, because it's getting us motivated to do what we want to feel inspired to do, but maybe we just need a little bit of support. And that is, it might be backwards, I guess. The workshop is called Create the Room You Love. And in this workshop, we're going to get into an exercise. Everybody's going to choose their own room, so it can be really specific to you, what it is that you want to transform. And when I'm talking about transformation, this is a huge year of transformation. In Chinese astrology, it is the year of the snake, and the snake sheds its skin, meaning there's lots of shedding, that's transforming, and this is the ideal time. Now, when we want to do a little bit of a refresh, or we want to do a big refresh, it doesn't necessarily mean, and I do a lot of this teaching, that you have to break the bank to make some changes in your space. I grew up in a very simple, humble upbringing where we didn't have a lot of money. But I loved what my mom did. She had this great idea of, and it wasn't only in the spring, I can't remember what the seasons were, but just to rearrange, repair, redesign, remove a room. It completely transformed. And so in this wonderful, workshop, if this is something that you're itching, if you're looking at a room that you're thinking, oh, okay, you know what, I need to do something. And again, it doesn't have to be extravagant, but even one or two little things make such a difference. And it's the power of a community. So in a workshop, you are amongst other people, and it gives you this more of a surge to implement, and it makes you feel a little bit accountable to yourself. And as you're going through this, which, there's a workbook that everybody will receive once they sign up, and you can start making your notes in it, and you'll have something to work with, and you'll have a beginning point. Because many times I have clients who say, you know what, I need some change, but I don't know where to start. And starting sometimes is like the biggest block. And once we start, I think we all know that if we're talking about something as simple as decluttering, if we just go through a drawer, let's talk about that junk drawer, and start taking things out and going through it, we start feeling re-energized. And, there's a shift within us, and we feel inspired, and new ideas come out. And so that is like one of the really, I always think is like a phenomenal time is the spring. And with that, we're going to get close to the spring equinox, and there's so many wonderful things that the earth is here to give us with that. And just having the air quality change, seeing more sun, it just gives us like a power surge. And our homes are so vital to our mental health. Like, how do we feel? We all have spaces when we walk in, and listen, I know I'm a house coach, but I'm not perfect, and we can get overwhelmed by space. Going through a workshop like this, we start to simplify it. And a big part of all of this too is like, once you put something in place, it's the maintenance. And we'll dive into that as well. Keeping a space as is. I always give this great example when I talk about maintenance is like, we wash our hair more than once in our lifetime, right? We have to maintain cleanliness. So it's the same thing with our space. And we'll definitely talk about that part as well. And then we'll be diving into design. And everybody has a different design style, which is so important and so key because it's your curated space. Now, you might draw in a little bit of eclectic with a little bit of modern elegance, or you might do boho with a little bit of traditional. So mix and match is always really fun. But getting inspired and seeing, actually maybe shopping around in your home doesn't mean you have to go and buy something new, which goes back to when I was young and we did this with my mom. We didn't then go out and, in that time, they didn't have all these decor stores. We just kind of like shopped in our own home and we gave these items a new energy. And everything has energy. We are energetic and our items are energetic. And some of these pieces need to have I want to say like the words that are coming to me is like removal and now I'm going to say refresh, but with the whole energy clearing, our spaces need to be cleared once in a while. Because what happens is, in our homes, in our rooms, there are emotions that come through. And those emotions then start to imprint in the walls. And we want to clear that. And when we do an energy clearing in our space, and we'll talk about that in this workshop, and I'll give you some, like little, not examples, ideas of what you can do yourself, and you will notice a huge shift. Now, how I came about with this Create the Home You Love, which is one of my signature programs, and the fee is actually very nominal because it's like, pay by donation, pay what you think you feel you can pay. And if it right now it's the time that it's not so easy for you, it's available to you. So it's my gift to you. I'm so passionate that people are living in spaces that they feel, supported, that they thrive, that there is success. And when we feel good about our surroundings, we feel good about ourselves. It's like clothes, right? When we're wearing something that we really love, we feel great. And when we take care of ourselves, our home is part of our well-being. For about 18 years, I was running a staging and design business. And that was from 2004, well, maybe a little bit less than 18, to 2016. And in that time period, I was in about 5 homes a week. And what I started to do was I started a consultation. These are people that had to move. They were selling their house. And I was there to help them market. Now, some of you probably understand this because you have been, gone through this, and maybe more than once. And I would go with a very extensive list. And I started with having them write down what they needed to do. Because when you are writing down with your pen or pencil on paper, that's sort of the first actual step to making it actually really happen. You're putting in an intention. And so for me, I've always been passionate about homes and really connected to people. And so many of those people had their home that they were selling, their biggest investment, and I wanted them to get top dollar. So that to-do list was pretty intense, I have to tell you. A huge percentage of them completed almost, I would go past the 90% of what was on the list. And everyone had a commonality. Now, when I say everyone, I'm talking about having clients whose house was way too big and they're empty nesters, time to sell the house. I'm talking about clients who had a studio or one bedroom condo and they connected with their loved one, a new relationship was flourishing, and they were now taking the next step moving in, and so they were selling their own condo space. And I'm talking about the couple who was maybe, the place was too small, and one of the reasons it was because they were growing their family. So it was a whole different group of people. Like if you talk about avatar, who's your avatar? Somebody who was selling. That was who my avatar was. They had 3 things in common. After the consultation and they did the list, I would go back. Sometimes I'd go with my staging, furniture and decor, and everything like that. And sometimes I didn't. But before I did go in, if I would do that, the 3 commonalities was, one was, oh my God, I can't believe I had this much stuff. Now we're talking about you and me because we are a society of accumulation. And I love that we have these HGTV shows. I love that we have Marie Kondo. We've had Peter Walsh for the longest time. These are so important figures for us to understand. And it gives us the energy and the surge to know that there's way too many things. But we get bombarded with, I want to say commercials, but it's more than that. It's advertising. I think you understand what I'm talking about. And it's like this, oh, I want this and this instant and then that. And then so many times we bring things home, and do we actually do something with it right away? Sometimes it just sits. So number 1, I can't believe how many things I had. Number 2, when you're selling your house, condo, whatever you're selling. I never had clients who were selling a trailer, but you would be marketing your trailer just as much as you would be marketing your studio apartment. And that was a very stressful time. It is under the top 5 stresses, selling a house. And what I noticed was they started to shift. Their skin looked better and they were happier. And I'm like, wow, I didn't get it at first. I did this for many, many years. This is not something that I knew about right away. In 2004, when I walked around, I couldn't say the word energy because nobody was talking energy at that time, And so, but this was an energy shift. And then the third thing that they said, which is really connects to why I put this together, is, oh my God, I love this place. I don't want to move. And so all of these little things transformed in something huge. And if you look at the psychology of staging, and I remember it was, it's a fad, it's here and it's going to go. But it kept on going. Now, okay, I get it. There's some ridiculous looks and, it could be like, oh, I've gone to look at 3 houses and they all have the same sofa. I get that part. There's a little bit too much of a cookie cutter at times. Understood. But we're talking about from the aspect of getting the place ready, right? And so when they felt they didn't ever want to leave, I always would say, listen, this wasn't a learning experience, so make sure when you go to your new place, you can then do all of this. But now, what happened? The home was on a different level. It was up-leveled. It was elevated. The home shifted. And this is where I talk about the connection between you and your home. If you have respect and connection to your home will have that and offer that and support you. I'm telling you, the energy of the space is there for you, but you've got to be the one. I'm not going to say all the time, because sometimes our home chooses us, but when we're in the space, you've got to be the one that I say most probably makes the first move. So if you're playing chess with the house, you're the one that has to make the first move. And so when the home shifted and it started looking great, well, of course it sold so quickly. Of course it did. Because look at how the energy, look at how desirable the emotions that was happening in that environment. The homeowners were loving it, enjoying it, couldn't wait to get it sold so they could actually have people over. There were clients of mine who didn't want to have people over before. And not because they weren't social, but let's face it, this is natural. They were not comfortable. They were a little bit embarrassed. They didn't have the time. And I remember in 2004, it's so hilarious. I had to give them this idea and I had to also educate them on this, because this was like a whole new concept. It started in California, where most things start like this, but it was like, okay, pretend the queen is coming over. What would you do? And it would be like, oh, okay. So in 2004, that's kind of how I said it. Depending, sometimes I changed it, pretend the Pope is coming or something like that if it was a very religious home. But, then they kind of made that connection. And so it takes a huge undertaking to do something like that, right? So that's why some of them, and some of us now, right? We want to have people over. And can you imagine if something like this has been transformed, and we're doing it now. We're doing it in the spring. I've got 3 sessions booked. 2 of them are online, 1 during the day and 1 in the evening. I want to do an in-house. I'm based in Toronto. I'm still looking for the space, so it will be on the page. Now, if you go into, I guess I'm not the most technical person, but I will put the link in, and then you can look into that. But if you go into my website, Anya housecoach, .anya, it should be there. And I will also make sure that I have a link to it. So, I feel if you are thinking you want to do something new, you want to, elevate, it doesn't have to be huge, or maybe it does. And you get to pick any room you want. Many of you are entrepreneurs, you work from home, and you get how important it is to be in a successful environment. Our space can foster us, elevate us, allow easier and open manifestation, becoming more conscious and aware, or it can really hinder us and give us lackluster, make us feel unmotivated and feel like we're always 2 steps behind and then 2 steps forward and then 3-4 steps behind. And so it's natural. I know. And I know because, again, I was in about 5 homes for about 16 years a week. So the commonality is there. I know. It's not like, there's maybe, 2% of us or 3%. No, it's pretty high percentage. And why? Well, we lead busy lives. And it's kind of like, you know what? I'll get there. Most times we know, and sometimes we're not even aware. Or when we start, things start to show up that we're not really even thinking about. So we're at 4:25, and I'm going to finish off with a couple of ideas that you can do really quickly. And if anybody here actually is an entrepreneur, this is on my website, and it's Workspace Alchemy, 31 days to design your zone of genius. And so, here's one that I'm going to, announce. Always have your agenda set up. So when I was talking about a while back about once we write something down, if you write down in your agenda, I'm going to do A, B, and C, or just A this week in my office, then you're more apt to do it. Another one is so simple, but take a look. I mean, I'm a person that likes pencils, pens, and colored pens and everything like that because I journal and write. Well, take a look. What pens do you have that are not working anymore? Are there any? Like, throw them out. What about your pencil? Like, the feeling of a pencil that is sharpened versus the feeling of a pencil that is dull. It's a huge difference. And just going to, I mean, again, I don't know. You might have pencils. I do in my little cart. But I love having them sharpened. I love seeing them sharpened. It makes such a difference because it's like you're ready. You are ready. And how neat is it writing or printing with a sharp pencil? Okay, I'm going to pick one more. And I love this one also. I mean, all of them are so great. But take your phone and take a picture of the room, because the way we see it on our phone is a lot different than the way we see it when we walk in. And then you might have a better understanding, like, okay, I this area is bothering me. I didn't really, connect to it. I knew it, but I didn't. And I have this word, and if anybody has a better way to say it, but sometimes we become nose blind, so it's not the smell. So vision blind, would that be a good word? Let me know. Vision blind to our space. Like, we just kind of like unconsciously walk in and unconsciously walk out, whatever that function of that room may be. And so taking a picture and then looking at it makes a huge difference. I am so grateful that you have been on. Thank you, everybody who's joined the live. If you're coming on the replay, let me know. It just, it just makes my heart happy because I'm so passionate at what I do. And that is exactly why at 2016, I said, you know what, Anya? I want to work with those that are living in their homes, not the ones that are selling anymore. And we've had a slew of stagers come, and they're amazing. So that, space became taken. Like, people, there were so many experts. I didn't need to stay there. But what I wanted, my download was work, support, teach those that are in their space. And it doesn't matter if you are in a studio apartment. And I have some clients who are in a room because they share their space. They share the apartment. They share the home. So it doesn't matter. Like, don't say, well, when I have this, then I'll do this. No. This is for you now. For you now, where you are living. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. Please message me if you have any questions, and I am going to put in the link. Bye for now.